Today I'm going to be going over how to solve word problems using the CUBES strategy. The CUBES strategy is something that I really like for fifth graders for a number of different reasons. First, it's a mnemonic device that fifth graders can use to remember the different steps of breaking down a word problem in order to analyze each part and solve it correctly. So often I see fifth graders jumping straight into solving without thinking through the entire problem and slowing down to analyze the steps. And the CUBE strategy really helps them to slow down, think about the different parts of the problem, think about the math action words, and allow them to solve accurately. On this next slide here, I have a visual of the CUBE strategy, which I also have in my classroom, and it's also taped on the students' desks. That's how much I really enjoy this strategy for students when they're solving word problems. This image was retrieved from Futures Pay Teachers from Itzari Inspirations, and I really like it because it shows each step as far as it will show a little circle, the underline, a box again, and it has little math symbols down below for solve. And this is just one of many examples of the CUBE strategy. But in the CUBE strategy, each letter stands for something you do to the word problem to think through it completely before you solve. I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of how I'm going to use the CUBES strategy to solve this word problem right here. The problem says the fifth grade classes collected money for their end of the year field trip. Miss Ryan's class had $230, Miss Verna's class had $212, and Miss Whelpley's class had $321. The cost of the field trip was $650. How much money did they have left over after paying for the field trip? So down here I have a little bit of a reminder for you. As you learn the CUBE strategy, having it out in front of you, there's no problem with that because that's how we learn and that's how we remember steps, is by doing it over and over again until it becomes natural and it becomes a part of our memory. I'm going to start by circling the numbers. So I'm going to circle the amount that each class collected, and I'm going to circle the amount that the field trip costs. I'm going to change my color here, and then I'm going to underline the question. What ultimately am I trying to figure out? Ultimately, I'm trying to figure out how much money did they have left over after paying for the trip. Okay, I'm going to box in keywords, and I'm going to start to think what operations they might align to. Collected, to me, it may not be a math keyword that I see on a poster in a classroom, but I know when I'm collecting something, I'm making an addition every time. I get more of something when I collect money. So I know somehow addition is going to come into play in this money collection. I also see here leftover. Leftover to me is a signal for subtraction. So I'm starting to think that I'm going to have to add these numbers together and then subtract. I feel like when I see how much money is left over, that they would have had collected more than $650, and they're going to have an excess of money at the end. Okay, now I can eliminate information that's not needed. It's not really super important that this is the end of their year field trip. That's not really necessary. It doesn't really matter if they're fifth grade classes, fourth grade classes, whatever. All information that's just there to distract me, so I can cross that off. And now I'm ready to solve. I kind of went through the evaluative step before in thinking down this problem. I used the keyword collected, and I'm going to add together the dollar amounts that the three classes collected. I'm going to cross them off as I use them to make sure that I use every circled number somehow. Okay, so the classes collected $763. The field trip was only $650. So they are going to have money left over because they collected more than they needed. Do some borrowing here. Whoops. Bigger number always on top, right? 650. That's better. $113. So they had $113 left over after paying for their field trip. Here's another example where you could use the cube strategy. And at this point, I would like you, if you're watching this video, to analyze how you would use the cube strategy on this word problem. Maybe talk to a parent, an adult, a classmate, somebody who's nearby while you're watching this video as reference. Tell them what you would do if you were to solve this problem. And once you do that, feel free to watch this video as many times as you need. It's here to help you. It's here to be an example. It's here to be a reference point as you learn the importance of the cubes strategy when solving word problems.